Hey guys, good evening. This is Andy here, aka Montolio, and we are recording the top 8 of the Vintage Challenge today. I am playing Bug, and so is my opponent, Janky B, who I ran into in the Swiss and was able to beat 2-0. They look like very similar lists. I didn't think anything in their list that diverges from what we are doing, but we've won the die roll, which is a good start. Um, yeah, I like this hand. I think Sylvan Library is a very powerful card. I'm not obviously not happy about the collector roof here, and we don't really have any action going on, but I think this is reasonable. We're going to keep this. Obviously, I'd much rather have just about any other creature in my deck here, preferably a Deathrite Shaman, which is a very strong turn one play from Bug. But yeah, we're going to lead with a fetch here, which is likely to fetch us an Underground Sea. And question is, are we going to counterspell a Mental Misstep, a Deathrite Shaman on turn one here from our opponent? And take ourselves off Force of Will here. Black Lotus, I think that's fine. Obviously, a little bit scary if it's an Oko that comes out, but that's problematic. That is problematic. I cannot let that resolve. We're going to have to fight over that. Because Sylvan Library doesn't do anything, and we are all in on Sylvan Library here. So probably a Deathrite Shaman here coming down would be my guess. Ponder, okay. Ponder's fine. Let's see if we get a Shuffle. Then we're going to keep it on top. Chooses to shuffle. Okay. I'm going to fetch here my upkeep, thin us out a tiny bit, take a swamp, and let's see here. Okay. Not overly happy with that draw, but I think that's what we've got. Let's see if this resolves. There's a couple things that we need to worry about here. Obviously, getting counterspelled here is pretty bad for us. We really don't have much going on. And should it resolve, we need to worry about Abrupt Decay. So there's a couple features here that, yeah, okay, so I think that's fine. Despite I'm not happy about it. We do have our mana going here, and we're live for something like a top deck Leovold or an Oko, Assassin's Trophy, all sorts of good things here we can do. And worst case scenario, we can drop a Collector Roof, which obviously we're not going to be happy about, but at least it's a play versus just passing turn. Maybe this is a little bit of a loose keep on our end. I think we fell victim to a low percentage play out of Bug in that they had the Black Lotus and the opener right into a Narset, and that's one of the few things they could do to really hose me in that situation. Thus I had to counter it. Yeah, this is great. This is like a time walk, right? For us, because they don't realize we've got a substantial amount of mana here. I kind of want to protect the tropical, but my thing with that is that because what I'm thinking about here is obviously it's very easy for me to play the Underground Sea in this particular situation here, thus padding my Tropical Island for next turn should I need it. But my thing is, what if I draw Wasteland here? I think drawing a Wasteland is actually quite good. I am going to play around Daze here. I'm just going to play the Underground Sea here and just hope. I am going to do this main phase because there's a possibility that I draw a Deathrite Shaman, which I think would be pretty good in this situation. I'm going to play my Ponder here, see what we can find. These are all fairly reasonable. We have the fetch land, so I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to put the Demonic Tutor, and then I'm going to put the Daze on top. And Daze actually a reasonably good draw here. And so is Ancestral. It's a pretty good card, isn't it? So let's see here. They're going to play a Tarmogoyf here. Yeah, so we're going to feel pretty good about that if this Daze works. And it did. So they are now down to 2 cards, and we are in a position here that we can actually slam a Tarmogoyf now. I think I'm going to fetch this because I don't want the fetch land on top. So we're going to get our last trop in our deck. And we're going to hope this resolves. And yeah, let's see if we can fade an Assassin's Trophy here. So they had a fatal push, unfortunately. Having said that, I think it's okay. Into our preordained. So they still had some gas left. 2 cards on the bottom. Okay. So they have 1 card left in hand. I think that puts us in a reasonable position here. There's a couple different things we could do. We could Treasure Cruise here, which I don't think is unreasonable. I think what I'm going to do here is I am going to just go and get the Treasure Cruise. I think it's fine. I'm going to, what do I want to do here? I think I'll just play out the Wasteland. I think that's fine. Not giving too much thought at this stage in the game as to what I need to filter, for opposing Tarmogoyfs, that sort of thing. We're at ground zero as we both have Tarmogoyfs here, and I'm not too worried about shrinking what they're doing. Yeah, I mean, collect a roof, okay. That's great for us. That, however, is not great. Let's filter here. Oh, Leovold. I cannot cast Leovold this turn. But I'm definitely putting it on top. So I'm going to put the Force of Negation here as well. They did not play a land last turn. So what are we concerned about, if anything at all? I think first things first. Let's play around days. Green is the more valuable card here, so I'm going to take the Trop. Action Probe, I think that's fine. Okay, so I feel like we're in an advantaged position here, but of course that can change very quickly, depending on what my opponent draws. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna just get a block in here. I think that's totally fine. They have another land. Okay, so we're gonna try and slam Leovold here. And I think that's pretty good for us. Leovold is an extremely powerful card. And we do have counter magic to be able to back it up, so I think that's good for us. Even if my opponent has the Abrupt Decay here, we're still going to recoup our land or our card out of it. Yeah, they're just flooding. So I feel like we're in a pretty good position here now. Probably should have played my land there to hold up Force of Will. And I think in the turn, I'm probably just going to flash my Brazen Borrower in here and increase my clock, depending on what they do, of course. Demonic Tutor. I don't think I'm going to let that happen. I don't want them going into their library looking for something, so it's okay. It was a really good draw. There was merit there to actually hard casting the Force of Will, but Force of Will is a much more versatile card when it comes to countering a creature, and so it was better to hold it in hand in this particular situation. So here I am going to take another green source away from them, and we're going to play our land. I think we have a one more land in our deck, hopefully. I do believe that we can go and fetch. And that will allow us to cast a Borrow at the end of turn, which is going to close this game out. Yeah. Okay, so nice win there for us. I feel like we're reasonably well prepared for the mirror in that we have an extra Abrupt Decay in our sideboard, and I ran that specifically for this match to be able to have some interaction against opposing creature decks. We don't need Force of Vigor there. I think that's pretty much what we're going to do here. Just a very simple switch. Making it sound like I've got some big tech here for the mirror. I'm running an extra Abrupt Decay, if I can rephrase that, to address the mirror, amongst all the other things that Abrupt Decay is so very well suited for in this current metagame. As anybody that follows me on Twitter will have seen my post about why I feel Abrupt Decay is better than Assassin's Trophy, and we can go into that a little bit here maybe right now. The problem with when you're playing this type of a deck is you're trying to attrition them on land battles, much like a workshop deck does, in that you've got the Wasteland package and the Strip Mine, and so you're trying to tax their lands. And despite I do not refute how versatile Assassin's Trophy is, one of the problems with it is that even if it resolves, it actually will give your opponent a land. And I think there's a lot of decks out there today that are actually running a basic at least, and it's just counterintuitive. And of course, as I mentioned, the counterability of Assassin's Trophy is problematic when you need to move a card in a key situation. And I would say that probably 95% of cards that we're trying to hit and remove are hit by Abrupt Decay, which is uncounterable, versus Assassin's Trophy. Where Assassin's Trophy has an edge is, it is able to remove something like a Golos or a Karn the Great Creator. Jace the Mind Sculptor, despite nobody really runs that card anymore. So, Abrupt Decay just hits everything that you want it to. Tarmogoyf, Deathstrike Shamans, Oko, it hits Leovold, it hits, Breach, it hits Managorger Hydras, it hits Narset, Mentor, the list just goes on and on. So, not having a counter is pretty solid. Anyways, I like it, and it's been a superstar for me over the last month or so that I've been playing it. So, with no further ado, let's get in here. Okay, I like this hand. We've got a turn 2 Oko. We have a turn 1 Abrupt Decay. And in a real pinch here, we have Force of Negation up if we absolutely need to counter something. So opponent mulligans, we're going to keep this one. So they held at 6. Let's see if we get a Deathray Shaman here. Preordain, okay. We can live with that. One top, one bottom. Okay. Force of Will. I actually like that. Okay. Well, we're going to play out our Misty Rain here. Pretty nice for us is if our opponent tries to counter our Oko in this given state, then we have permission to be able to stop them. I'm going to let that resolve. I think we'll fight over the Ancestral. Once again, I'm going to fetch in my upkeep here. Nothing to be scared of. Get a Tropical Island. Brazen Borrower. That is not terrible. It's not great. We lose a counter battle with it, but it is what it is. Oko is really good in this matchup. If you can keep him around, you got to feel good about your chances. So, yes, Oko resolves. So this puts us in a position here to be able to fight over the Ancestral. And hopefully they don't have another land. thus limiting what they can do for a follow-up play after the Ancestral. Obviously, Flusterstorm is bad for us here. I mean, there's merit to actually not even countering it, but uh, if my opponent's resources are taxed here, which is very possible, I think that this is not a bad counterspell. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to get rid of the Force of Will here. I think Brazen Borrower, despite its limited function, despite its utility, is not fantastic in this particular match. Okay, a little bit sad to lose the green source there, but I still think it's a good card. You know, we peel a card off the top here. It's, yeah, you see, like they've wastelanded us here. And, I mean, let's get in here, right? Let's get in here. I mean, let's go. So I'm going to wasteland them here. I don't know what they've got in their hand for land, but I don't see a reason not to do that. Next turn, despite its aggressive, I am going to strongly consider animating my Mox. Because, you know, they could just abrupt decay us at any point in time. And this is a situation where, okay, they didn't make a play. How peculiar. Well, let's see if we can resolve a Deathrite Shaman here. I'm just in on this, guys. Like, I mean, I don't see a reason to be dilly-dallying here. And particularly because my Deathrite Shaman resolved that, I feel pretty good about it. And sure, they can abrupt decay us here and, you know, have their pick of our Oko or Deathrite Shaman, but I would think that would have been a mistake for them not... Okay, so they have a Fatal Push. Okay. We have one too. Just a matter of, are we going to get wastelanded here? Okay, Mox. Oko. Okay. Leovold. All right, that was a fantastic draw, guys. So there's a couple different things we can do here. I mean, we can charge in here. My opponent is, you know, somewhat incentivized to block because they don't want to go down too much lower here. What we can do is we can actually steal the Leovold next turn. So I am going to attack here. I think given that we drew the land here, do we though? Like I can get rid of this thing right now. I mean, maybe what we do, maybe I just, the problem is, but if I target this with Oko, he still draws a card. They still draw a card. I think I'm just going to attack. Sure, they can stymie me somewhat, but like if they just want to throw up a block here and stop this, I think that's a reasonable trade as I'm so far ahead in card advantage. Like I'm going to be making another one here in a turn. So and if they don't, we are going to steal their Leovold next turn. I'll give them an artifact treasure chest, and they can have my, or they can have my food treasure chest, whatever it is. I think it would have been greedy for me just to turn this into something because I can respond to it at instant speed. It's one of the nice things about Oko is they just see the opponent took it, and now I'm just going to create a food, and I'm going to threaten to steal their Leovold next turn. We'll see what they do. Yeah, like this does absolutely nothing other than throw up a blocker. Right, so they're hellbent now. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to make the switch. Yeah, you got a card. They've brainstormed. I think that's fine. They drew a pretty good card there and have the ability to respond instantly. So, I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. So we're gonna try and make this exchange here. It's happening no matter what. It's just a matter of did they do anything else. And so I feel pretty good about that. And now we're just going to plow in. And actually, I'm just going to win. Sorry, I got totally distracted. My wife came through the door. I guess they can gain 3 life here, which is enough to keep them alive. And then we're just going to play a Deathrite Shaman here. And so I'm not quite sure how they get out of this one. Yeah, they've just conceded. So pretty good win. We'll take it. Off to the semis.